Hey friends, some news just dropped about Halo Infinite Season 2. It's gonna be called Lone Wolves, but before jumping into what 343 is focusing on, they do explain the lack of, well, anything the game has received along the lines of polishing, bug fixing, and content drops outside of server-side changes. Essentially, the team has a Priority Zero initiative underpinning their work on Infinite, which means team health above all else. Infinite was a hard game to get out the door, and in order for the team to get into the rhythm of maintaining a live service, the early months have been slow, but the logic is take the time to establish a good work foundation, and then the pipeline will pick up speed later on. Essentially, start slow so you can move faster. So, not counting Priority Zero, 343 has a list of 3 priorities they've been focusing on since release. Priority 1 is crafting and working on an internal hot list of issues. Every week, they refresh their hot list, adding, moving things around, or expanding issues that the community has raised. Some items on the hot list, like the lack of a career progression system, they did know about prior to launch, but some things were unknown to them, like the vulnerabilities in the anti-cheat and matchmaking issues with Big Team Battle. Currently, the Big Team Battle matchmaking issues were resolved and moved from the hot list, but other things like the anti-cheat issues, Forge, co-op, and player careers are being worked on as we speak. 343 is also making a public hot list for the community to view, which will allow us to follow what 343 has been up to. Priority 2 is shipping Season 2 on May 2nd. Lone Wolves will have a new multiplayer-facing cinematic element like the Season 1 cutscene featuring more of the Spartan commander, but it's also going to introduce 2 new Spartans that kind of look like they'd be best friends with Emil or perhaps Ghost. The Battle Pass, live events, and content of the season will try to stay true to that theme that Lone Wolves sets for itself. So essentially, lots of knives and edge. But we're also going to be receiving a new off-brand armor set. Not samurai, but this time stylized around what seems to be diesel punk. Not bad. Not bad at all. There's also going to be 2 new maps added to the game. One is a new Forerunner-themed map called Cataclysm, and the other is a Big Team Battle map called Breaker. We're also going to be getting 2 new game modes called Last Spartan Standing and Land Grab, as well as the return of an old Halo game mode, King of the Hill, being patched back into the game, which is nice. They'll share more in April once the marketing for the season begins to kick into high gear, and their third priority is working on campaign co-op, Forge mode, and Season 3 of Halo Infinite. It shouldn't come as a surprise, but co-op will not be making it to the launch of Season 2. The networking for campaign co-op, as well as making sure split screen is a good experience, is going well, but issues with the open world portions of the game are making it hard, so they don't want to release it in this unpolished or potentially disastrous state. Hey custom games and theater mode, how'd you get into my room? Instead, they're holding it off until later in Season 2's life cycle to iron out the issues. On the topic of Forge, they're making great progress on it, privately flighting it to select content creators and community members, and the goal is to also get a public test version of it out to the community before eventually getting it into the game with Season 3. They also want to let us know that there is a dedicated team already working on Season 3, and they're going to share their work with us when the time is right, and wanting to let us know that they're not going to be sitting on bugs until the launch of later seasons, which is a tactic the MCC did, which is nice, I guess. I should point out that they bring up the mid-season update as a sign of their agility when it comes to patching the game, which I found very strange considering the mid-season update was a 3-month late day 1 patch. The blog is ended with the announcement that Tactical Op starts next week in Halo Infinite and will feature Mark 7 themed cosmetics. And that was basically the update. For those of you who are new to Halo, this is probably no big deal, right? This is just live service, you're getting new modes, you're getting new maps and stuff. Well, for Halo veterans such as myself, past Halo games launched with a lot of this stuff. One of the first Halo games to noticeably launch with less content than the last game was Halo 5. And that game's live service was basically giving us back things that previous Halo games had as a default. And Halo Infinite's doing it again, and it's doing it at a much slower pace than Halo 5 did. And, I don't know. I don't have a lot of patience to sit around and wait for the game that I bought last December, you know? So, let me know how you're feeling. Let me know if you're feeling a little bit salty about this. Yeah, and keep in mind, I am excited about this stuff because it is just good news for Halo Infinite, but It sucks that the good news is that the rest of the game is coming months later. Here we are, doing this again, and it's just exhausting. What's not exhausting is the evolution of the grunts video, which I need to get back to.